Does Oshinoko have anime's best first episode? Well, let's talk about that. What's up, guys? It's your boy, and today we are going to be talking about the newly releasing show, Oshinoko. As of right now, it's not even completely out yet, but it is currently airing. It's on HIDIVE right now, and I decided, as of recently, to give the first episode a watch. I haven't watched any more than just the first episode, and I'm already making a video about how I think the first episode, even if it isn't the best, can certainly make a case for why it could be considered one of the best first episodes of anime of all time. And I really do think that there is a really good case to be made for the best, because there's a lot of factors that kind of differentiate it from other anime first episodes, and really it's for one main reason and kind of the big main kind of selling point of this first episode. But before I mention what that selling point is, if you guys could go ahead and click, there's a little button down there that has like a little thumbs up. It's really cool when you press it because it tells me that you like the content that's coming out. And if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and click the subscribe button as well. All of it helps, and I appreciate you guys. And if you want to talk about why you think that this episode is as good as I say it is, or if you disagree with me completely and think that another episode has better contention status for the best anime first episode, please feel free to leave a comment. I read all the comments. So let's go ahead and get into the main selling point of Oshinoko's first episode, and that is the length. Now, length alone does not necessarily mean it's a good thing, and we'll kind of get into the content of the actual episode. I'm going to keep this relatively spoiler-free if I can. If I get into spoilers, I will mention, I'll put a spoiler warning, and then from then out, we're going to go with the spoiler mode on. But I may or may not do that, so we'll go ahead and get started now with the premiere being 90 minutes long for a first episode. And this 90-minute premiere was largely hyped in the anime community, and one of the reasons why it was so kind of hyped up is not just because it was 90 minutes long, but because Japan got it in a bit of an exclusive format, in a first look that was kind of not really done in the anime sphere. And that is a theatrical premiere. It is a movie length, and therefore they're going to put it in cinemas for Japanese audiences. And this was months before we got the first episode released here in the United States. I don't know if it's exactly months, but it was probably around at least a month before we actually got the premiere here. And they only had that first episode for a good long time. It was like they premiered the first episode, then we waited for the remaining episodes to come out a few weeks after that. And so the first episode being 90 minutes long gives it kind of the ability to go into more depth and have kind of an advantage over other anime from the start that don't have that 90-minute animation length or budget, for that matter. How does it do among all of that? Because yeah, length is good. It's cool to be able to have basically a movie-length anime premiere, but is it worth watching? Should you go in and watch a 90-minute first anime episode? I would argue absolutely. Absolutely, you should watch this first episode, because not only does it set the stage of what the story is going to be, but it tells its own story. And so in setting the stage for what the story is going to be for the remainder of the show, it not only introduces you to the characters up front in such an interesting way where by the end, you know each individual character that you have seen on screen and spent any amount of time with, but you know their little quirks as well. And it's really kind of interesting how they're able to put this on the screen so well, right? Because they're delving into the entertainment industry, and delving into the entertainment industry is already kind of a hard subject to tackle appropriately, because there's a lot of ins and outs and little kind of technical things that you could focus your time on. They do so broadly to the point where you get a feel for music, television, film, all of it, right? But it doesn't go too broad to where you don't feel like you can focus. It also doesn't go too specific into one industry where you are just getting real kind of technical knowledge about the musical industry that you don't care about. It gives you these characters that are like, say, a director or a producer or people like that who are going to give you a good view into what people in entertainment are looking for. And they show you that these people may even have good hearts. They may be seeking good things, but in doing so, the struggles that can accompany doing those good things for people, right? Because not everybody makes it in the entertainment industry. If we all did, if we were all superstars, that would be great, but we are not. And it shows kind of the goods and the bads of the entertainment industry, because there are both. And so it really does a good job of being realistic with it. And I think anime, in general, has a tendency to not fake things, but exaggerate things in a way that feels unrealistic, right? This character wouldn't say this thing in real life. That's just kind of a weird, like, tropey type thing. That happens a lot in anime, and it tends to break the immersion a lot when that happens, but shows that kind of make these conversational things realistic makes it that much more powerful and able to be invested in. And Oshi no Ko does that with the entertainment industry. It does so realistically, so well, and keeps your attention on the story the whole time. You want to know these characters. You want to know why these characters are treated this way versus why others are treated in a different way. It's just very gripping in the way that it hooks you in, and you want to know the ins and outs of how this world works, even though it's kind of a realistic world and it has some, depressingly realistic elements. But it just has a very poignant commentary on the entertainment industry and how they can use manipulation, and they can use lies, and they can use just different elements, whether good or bad, to shape what it looks like, I guess. That's just the overall premise, the story itself, from a broad view, why it's something that I would recommend watching as someone who hasn't even seen the remainder of the series, right? And what also makes it good, though, is the 3-episode rule doesn't apply to this, right? You're going to have the 3-episode rule straight from the get-go. You have one sit-down session, and you will know by the end of it. I guarantee it. I've heard this said before about this show, and I will repeat this very same theme. First off, don't look it up. Don't look up what this show's about. If you can stand it. If you see little tidbits, kind of like I did, it's fine. You'll still get some good surprises. You'll still get a really good story out of it. But I would go in as blind as you can. But it tells a standalone story, which is interesting, because yes, it does set it up at the end to where it will continue the series, right? But you could watch this first episode of Oshi no Ko and still get a complete story out of it. There is a beginning, a middle, and an end, and what it does is just very, very well. And this may be slight spoilers, but I'm not going to talk about specifics. So if you're even slightly worried, you can click off, but I'm not going to be mentioning characters or any specific events that happen, just from a broad perspective. I felt that the direction that it went was kind of predictable. I did kind of see what they were doing, and I kind of saw what I thought what the lead up was going to be come back in the way that I thought it might. But it takes you out of that expectation just far enough. It lets you sit in it just long enough to where you believe it's not going to happen. Okay? So it lets you kind of sit in the story of, this is the expectation, but now the story's moving in a different direction. We think it's going to go over here and then stay over here, and that's where the setup is going to be. And then maybe at the end of the season, we'll come back to that initial theme. But it runs full circle in the first episode. And it's really interesting because I didn't think that it would do it, and now the next chapter, so to speak, of the story is going to be in a direction that I completely did not expect. But I'm happy with. I really am intrigued now, and I want to see where it goes. And that is why I think Oshi no Ko has a pretty good argument for being one of, if not the best first episode there is, if not in modern anime, then anime in general. It's a really good setup. I would highly recommend you guys watch it. And as somebody who just likes things that are about the entertainment industry, look, I'm a fan of idol music and that kind of thing, and I get that you might go into this thinking, oh, this is probably just like an idol show. It is not just some idol show, I guarantee it. And it may be a little slow for some people, and I could completely understand that. But at the very least, you can give this one episode a watch and see if it's for you or not. I've heard other YouTubers recommend the exact same thing, and I'm going to recommend it here too. Just, you got nothing to lose watching the first episode, at the very least. I really enjoyed it. Maybe I'll make an episode after all the episodes are out and see if it's continued to live up to the expectation I have. It actually reached #1 on my anime list, beating Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood for a short bit when it first came out. There was that much hype around it, and reasonably so. But that said, that is just my recommendation for this week. Next week we'll have another video, and who knows what I'll say in it. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time.